Okay, we are going to make the pear and the apple. So you are going to start with taking a file from Group Shares, from your teacher, Resources, Illustrator Basics, 3.0 Projects, and then 3-2 PearApple, and go ahead and open that. You're going to be using the pen tool for this project. The biggest problem that I always find when people use the pen tool is that they click too many times. So what I've done is I put these numbers on this screen, and whenever you see a number, that means that I have clicked. And so you don't want to click more times than I'm clicking, because that means you'll be clicking more often than I am. So as I click on the pear and the apple example, make sure that's when you're clicking, when you see a number. Click and hold and then drag your mouse until you start to see handles. Notice how I'm pulling the handles to the left horizontally. Then let go. Now that you let go, you can reposition your mouse to another spot. Don't click your mouse until you see the number 2. Now I'm going to click and keep holding my mouse down, and notice how I'm turning my handles so they're more at an angle. Make sure that you are watching this curved line right here. Those handles are controlling that curve. When that curve looks like it matches to the pear, you can let go of your mouse. Now the third time you click, you're going to go to the fat part of the pear, go to the widest part, and click. Keep your mouse held down, don't let go until you see the handles pop out and you get the curve that you want. Now you've let go, and you're going to click on the bottom part of your pear, and you're going to pull the handles out really wide horizontally, and you're watching this curve appear as you're pulling the handles. Now stop clicking your mouse and move it to the next section, and you can click again at the widest part. Click and drag your handles up to match the curve. And when you're satisfied with the curve, you'll let go. And you can position your mouse to the next click. For this one, we only need just little tiny handles, so just click and drag straight up. Now finally, you are going to close your path by finding the beginning of your entire path. You'll know you're there when you see the small circle appear next to your pen tool. So when you see that circle, you can click and drag. Just drag your handles until it matches up with the curve of your pear. And now you have yourself a pear. So here is a quick recap in full speed. Now you're going to take the pen tool and drag like I'm doing here. Now this is now my third anchor point, fourth, click, hold down and drag, click, hold down and drag, click, hold down and drag, and then go home, click and drag. And you want to make the most basic shape by clicking as few of times as you possibly can. After you go around the pear, you're going to refine that. And then you can make the little stem, which is going to be a separate shape so that you're able to make a different color. So again, you're going to click, only just a few times around this stem as well, and then refine it. Now you're going to do the same thing with the apple. Again, try not to click very many times. The less anchors you have, the better it's going to be. Okay, so now you're going to go to Object, Unlock All, and that's going to unlock the picture background. So then you can use the black arrow, click on the background, and just simply hit delete, and then it will be gone. Now you also want to delete the little labels, so you just click on the text and then hit delete on all of those. Okay, now with the black arrow, the move tool, I want you to select the pear, so the outline of the pear. And then if you look on the right side, you're going to see a toolbar, and you're going to see a little symbol with a gradient. I want you to click that. When you press this, a little pop-out will appear, and that's where you can set up your color. it will default to being white to black, and we want to pick a lime green and yellowish color, and then on the other side we want to pick a green color. Now you pick colors by clicking on these tiny little boxes underneath the gradient. So if you'll see there's a little tiny box. Once you click that box, you're going to see that you can pick some colors. Now if you only see black and white, you need to just click on the little swatch icon, and then it will allow you to choose the colors. If it's still staying in black and white, I do have another solution for that, so hang on. Now sometimes when you pick that gradient, it'll only give you a gray. It won't let you have colors. It'll stay in like a version of black and white. So to do this, you're going to click the little lines at the top right-hand corner of that box and see if it's set to grayscale. And if it is, you have to pick CMYK. So click on that, and once you set it to CMYK, you should be good to be able to pick your colors. So go ahead and set one side of the gradient to green and the other one to lime green on the yellow side. Now you want to select your pear, and you are going to take the black stroke off of it. So to do that, you have to activate the stroke and then hit none. Next, click on the stem, and you're going to make the stem half kind of dark brown, half light brown, and then you will also remove the stroke from the stem. Okay, now for the apple, you want to set it to a bright red and then a lighter red. Now you're going to switch the type of gradient to radial. So switch type to radial, and it'll make it more of a round. And then you also want to take the stroke off of that apple. Okay, so we are going to now put the apple on a new layer. So we're going to select the apple and go to Edit, Cut, or use Command X. Now click on the Layers palette and add a new layer, and then hit Edit, Paste, or Command V. And now this apple will be on its very own layer. Now if you click on the layers, you can name them and colorize them. So I'm going to make the pear a green layer, and I'm going to make the apple a red layer. So it's kind of convenient when you're clicking on things. It'll give you a red outline or a green outline. Now we're going to draw a table. So we need another new layer, and we're going to just label that as table. So we're going to label it table, and then we're going to use the pen tool to draw the table. To give us an idea where to draw this, you're going to hit Command R, which will show you rulers, and then you're going to take a guideline dividing the top from the bottom of your page. And now you're going to follow these clicks. Now switch your color to brown and use the pen tool. Now you want to click right below the middle, right above the apple, right below the middle line, at the corner, and then go home. This will give the illusion that the table's in perspective. Now add a gradient to that fill and make it light brown and dark brown. And we're going to change it from radial to linear. Now we're going to use the gradient tool on the left side, and we're going to make it look like the light is coming from the back. And so we just need to draw a diagonal line from the back of the table down at a diagonal. Now you're going to select the apple, and you're going to use the gradient tool to make it look like the highlight is coming from the back edge of the table. Same thing with the pear. You're going to have the highlight, the lightest spot, be on the back side of the pear. You're switching this pear to a radial gradient. Now for the apple, I decided to make a little bit of a lighter highlight, just because I wanted to make sure that that light was shining. It made it look like it was brighter. Now I'm going to take the pear and the stem, hold Shift and hit Command G, or go to Object Group, so it's a group. Now I have the apple overlapping the pear a little bit. Now I want to go to View, Clear Guides to get the guides off. Now go to the rectangle tool, set it to a very dark brown, and then you're going to go to your layers and add a new layer that's going to be at the bottom of the stack so that we can make a very dark brown background. So new layer, click new layer. You're going to name it background, pull it to the bottom of the stack of layers, and we're going to set it to a very dark brown, darker than the table, and click and drag a rectangle so that you have a rectangle behind everything. Now drag a new layer to the top. So make a new layer and drag it to the top of the stack. And we are going to paint in a shadow with a blob brush. And we're going to paint blobs that look like shadows. And so we are going to just kind of paint exactly like I'm painting here. The idea here is that the apple is casting a shadow. It's going to be on the pear and below the apple. Now use the black arrow and you're going to move that shadow below the apple and go to Filter, Blur, Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur. So Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And we're going to blur it about 50. And then we're going to change the opacity in the options bar to about 50% as well. So we're going to drag the 100 down to about 50. Now our goals for our shadows, you're going to be continuing to make new layers and new shadows. So now I want a shadow for the pear, and the goal for this is to make it look like the apple and the pear are casting shadows on the table. The apple's casting a shadow on the pear. You want to go up to Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur each time. Change the opacities because they are see-through. Okay, again, I'm going to make a new layer, and now I'm going to pull that down below the pear, and I'm going to make it look like the pear is casting a shadow. Now the shadows are going to be at an angle down to the right because the light is coming from the upper left. And again, I painted on the wrong layer, so I'm just redoing that blob for the pear. I accidentally painted it on the background, so I just hit undo. So again, these are going to go below, like this one's going to go below the pear, even though I'm painting it on top. Now I'm switching it to below. I'm going to go to Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and change the opacity. I could even try a different blending mode and change the opacity there. Like I put darken, so it darkened the table instead of just being a black blob. And I kind of like that effect. Now I'm just moving things around. Again, everything can be moved. It's all isolated. If you didn't make different layers, you wouldn't be able to do this. Now, to bring it all together, we're going to go to File, Place. And so File, Place. And you're going to go to Group Shares and from your teacher, Resources, and then go to Z, Texture Pack. And I have all kinds of textures. And the texture you want to see, it actually has it looks like it has a texture. It's rough. And then they also have different coloring. And we're going to lay it over top of this picture. So just pick one that you like. And then when you can go through them. And then hit place and then click your screen and you'll see the texture. Now, likely the texture is going to be giant. It'll be very big, so you'll just use the Move tool and shrink it down. You also want to bring this to the top of the stack on your layers Doesn't matter which order you do that in, but eventually, again, you're resizing it and bringing it to the top of your stack. Now, click on the word opacity on your options bar and change the blending mode from normal to overlay. And you'll see that this actually blends in. And that's what your project will look like. Now, you should download a font from dafont.com that looks like handwriting and then install it. Now click once on your screen and you want to type your signature as if you were an artist that painted this. So it should look like a brush or handwritten. It shouldn't just be script. It should look like it was actually brushed on or painted on or written on. And you want to put your name in the bottom right hand corner. Now finally, we are going to go to File, Save As, and you are going to save this as a PDF file. So File, Save As, make sure you're putting it in your home folder, and you're going to save it in the file format of PDF, Adobe PDF, and then you may turn it in. Good job.